God morgon, välkomna, good morning and welcome. Welcome to this webinar that will be held in English with Boost Your Event Communication, LianaAutomation and Eventilla. My name is Jesper Rosin. I work for the Swedish Liana Technologies office here in Stockholm, and together with Harry Niskala, who's behind the scenes, we will be holding a webinar where Markus Haataja will be speaking. Markus, could you present yourself?
Hello, my name is Markus Haataja. I am the founder and CTO of Eventilla, event management platform company, and here to help Jesper unravel the mysteries of event management and automations.
Excellent. Questions during the webinar. Some housekeeping here. You have the option of asking the questions in the chat, and you can ask them directly to us, or you can send us an email or an SMS if it's a question that's more specific for your needs. If we are not able to answer all questions, we will of course answer them in our follow-up email, where we will be sending the recording and we will be sending the presentation as well. Great. Markus, I'm at home, as most Swedes. Where are you now?
We're lucky enough here in Oulu, Finland. The situation with the COVID-19 is getting quite well. We are almost vaccinated, I think 60% or something of the population here. So we're actually keeping it safe here in the basement of our office, where we have our studio, and we're together with Harry here. So good times ahead. Maybe in the summertime and the fall we can get back to the normal routines of actually seeing people. But I think hybrid events and online events are here to stay.
For sure. Let's get to it. The scene is yours.
Okay. First, we have a poll here. Could you, Harry, pop up the poll? So what are your needs with your webinars? Here's a small questionnaire. What would you think? Making the whole experience fully branded or less manual work, improve communications before and after the webinar, or after sales and marketing?
Yeah, and I looked through the attendee list. I didn't see any sales personnel by title, but most people are involved in sales one way or another, or at least working with salespeople.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and choose what your needs are, and we'll see the results shortly.
Okay. How does it look like, Harry? Can we see some results? Okay, quite tight. So mostly sales and marketing follow-up post webinar, and then quite equally fully branded experience, less manual workload, and improve communications. I think this was a little bit biased poll because all of the points were quite important when organizing events, but good to hear that sales and marketing is something that you're really interested in, because we have a lot of information and tips coming up for those. Okay, let's move on. Most of you, I think, even though professionals, even us in here, we had some last minute checkups here to do with the webinar software and everything else. But imagine those who are just starting doing maybe online events, webinars, and even live events with the registrations and everything. It can be quite intimidating. So that's the Moomin boogeyman there on the technology side. And actually the founding key phrase for Liana Technologies was we are here to help people in this big jungle of technologies and tools, and maybe giving you the saving liana to hold on when you're swinging through the jungle. But we are here to try to make it a little bit easier and help your daily job with automations. So the first, we have kind of divided this presentation into 3 portions, and the first one is be yourself. So now that this COVID situation had exploded the online presence for all of the companies, there's webinars left and right, online events. You have to be yourself. You have to be known. Your brand has to show and shine in your events. So that's where we come in. On the event side, Eventilla is the company, and we do event management designed around you. So just a few things about Eventilla. We actually founded Eventilla together with Liana Technologies CEO Samuli around 10 years ago. The needs were quite the same as they are today. How to make event registration, payments, reporting, marketing, invitations easier. And that's when we decided to build a tool, a service around that. So in a nutshell, Eventilla does event landing pages, registrations, payments, communications, reports, and survey. Of course, with integrations, the possibilities are unlimited what you can do. But basically, day-to-day business, we do international operations together with Liana Technologies, and we are based here in Oulu together in the same office building as Liana Technologies. But let's move on. What can you do with automations? And the topic here is exceed expectations with marketing automation. So the main points here are that the correctly timed marketing based on customer data. So when you do really tight filtering and segments based on the interests of your customers and directly move messages to those who might be interested in your event, that's when you get the best results and most engaging listeners to your webinar. And of course, that way you get the best return of investment there. So the idea here would be to find out your customers' real needs. If you have LianaAutomation or other marketing automation tool, try to do the segments well, that based on their visits, what they have opened, newsletters, what links they have clicked in the past, in what events they have been to, so you can target your message. The segments can be done automatically, so every time some customer fills up those set expectations, they have been into your events in the past 6 months, they have clicked at least 2 times the links in your newsletters or some other things in the segment. So the segment always will, it's alive, so it will move based on those settings and be always timely for your message. And also when you do automations, you can create multi-channel marketing and invitations. So emails, maybe in some situations, SMS messages, of course on your website, target on social media, and that other things, LinkedIn, Facebook, and these solutions are adjustable to all size companies. So whether you're organizing B2B events, B2C events, I'm pretty sure that we can help you. As for Eventilla, we have customers doing dog training courses. So there are maybe 30, 40, 50 clients or customers joining the trainings. And then again, we are doing events, online events for thousands of people at a time. So it varies really, really big. But the process here, just to clarify how things roll when you're doing event communication. The green boxes here are things that you can do with LianaAutomation and other Liana tools. And then the red boxes are where Eventilla comes in. So first, before the event, we of course start with invitation and ads and drive traffic to our event landing page. And from the event landing page, you can have, if you like, you can have multiple registration types. So you can have your invitation ads based traffic on different registration or ticket. And then you can of course take registrations for your VIPs. So they are the only ones who see that registration type, and your volunteers for your event. So get all the registrations into one place so you can communicate easily to all of the segments of your event. And after registration, an important point, the confirmation email. And then of course, to those who have not reacted to the invitation, automate your reminders. And then we move to the actual webinar, where maybe a third-party tool is needed for organizing the stream, the platform. And through that, we usually get from almost all of the most popular webinar tools. For example, we get the check-in. So we know who actually participated in the event. So based on that information, you can do thank you messages, share the recordings, do a survey, and then start automating after sales and marketing. But let's start to drill into these different segments. So what makes this possible? This brings us to the second higher level topic for today, which is automate things. So you can focus on your actual event content and organizing a beautiful event. So automate things so you don't have to worry about them in the last minute. So to start with, we have LianaAutomation, which handles all of the communications, sends out the messages based on the automation paths and segments you have chosen. Then we have Eventilla, which is the events platform responsible for gathering all the registrations, creating automated shared reports, creating the surveys after the event. And of course, because we are so tightly connected companies, we have integrated our tools. So whenever someone does a registration, the information is passed on the background into LianaAutomation, and you have single sign-on into both services. So when you log into one of the services, you can then just click to the other one without logging in again. Let's see some examples. This event actually is quite good example of how we do things. So we try to walk the walk, which we are marketing ourselves. So we are using our own tools. So we would have ourselves, of course, the best knowledge how to use them and to prove that it works. So here's the event landing page for this event. And then on the side, we have the confirmation email, which you received after the registration. And already here we see some integrations happening on the background. So the join link for the webinar, what Eventilla did, we have an integration into GoToWebinar. So whenever someone registers, we take that information into GoToWebinar, and GoToWebinar returns a personal join link, which we can then use on the confirmation email. So based on that link, we will then know who actually clicked and joined the webinar, and GoToWebinar offers some great info about the customer, so we know how long they stayed on the webinar, and based on that we can mark them as checked in guests on this webinar. But now that I talked about GoToWebinar, we have another poll about event tools.
Yes.
So
what solutions do you have integrated today? Do you have none yet and is using Excel as your best friend? Do you have your CRM for post and pre-webinar? Are you using your email solution, or do you even use your marketing automation solution today? This is multiple choice as well, so please click in what you're using. Markus, I think plenty are using Excel mostly, because that's something when I talk to customer, the manual labor is quite extensive.
Yeah, it's funny when customers ask who is your like the biggest competition or what company. I usually tell Microsoft, because Microsoft Excel is by far the largest competition we have. So we are trying to convince people and organizations that Excel is maybe not the best tool for current and future event communication and planning. Even though it's a wonderful tool, but when you start taking up registration from your email into Excel, and then you share the Excel with someone else, and they start to push their own contacts into the Excel and send it back to you. Can you please add these? And then you have 5 different Excel files with different names on them. So it quickly goes south. So let's see.
Yeah, Excel.
Yes.
Excel is our friend, and Excel is great in many ways, but maybe
Yes.
not for a really smooth webinar if you want to do many of them or make them really good. But somehow
it's a good tool, but we can make your life a bit easier, and it's not as big of a change in the end as people might think. It's I think in some points even easier to use than Excel, these solutions. So invitations, let's start with those. So in the beginning I said be yourself, and we really mean that. So when you are sending out emails, invitations from LianaAutomation, we make sure, our team makes sure that you have the templates that are branded in your brand guidelines. So every message you send out looks like your company, not GoToWebinar, not Zoom or any others. So even when we register people on the background into the webinar, into GoToWebinar or Zoom, there are no email messages going out from those services. So every message they receive is branded into your logos, your colors, your fonts, and your message. So,
Markus, I had a customer tell me that roughly a year ago, when they had to transform, it was okay to be a little bit ad hoc and start using other services. But the end customer expectations 1.5 years later might be that, okay, now you should have been transformed and using integrated solutions and sending nice invitations.
Exactly. The first stage is like the few first months were survival. So how can we survive this? How can we transform our business from live events into online events? But then when people started doing the webinars, I myself had like in May, June of 2020, I had like 3 or 4 webinars per day where I participated, and it all started being the same, like email to someone and then I got a Zoom link back and then joined the Zoom, and I didn't even, when it started, I didn't know which webinar I was. So that's where the confirmation email and the reminder emails come handy. When you send out the reminder like 15 minutes before with your brand, with a short introduction what's going to happen and the personal join link, that's when you are already a bit connected to the event, what's going to happen. But here are the invitation portion. So when you invite people to your webinar, in Liana Automations, you can create a path where you first start with a segment where you choose automatically from your mass of information who to invite. Choose the filters which you want to use, and then you send out the first invitation. Then the automation waits 1 week and then checks again if you are registered to the event, and if not, you will have a reminder, and based on your actions the automation path will move into different ways. So reminders, and then to those who have not already registered, and then reminder before the event to those who have registered. And when they come to the event landing page, to the webinar registration, we make sure that it is a branded event landing page. Eventilla offers multiple ways for integrating your events into your own website. So we even have a WordPress plugin that automatically gets all event information as a list, as a calendar view into your own site. So registrations, when people register it into your event, they don't actually, if we do the deepest integration, they don't actually have to leave your website. We can bring the registration form directly into your website. They can do registration there. So branding is everything here. And then you can customize the registration form, of course. And this is where you can think about what do you want to ask from the customer. The initial reaction is, okay, we want to know everything about the customer. But long forms are, of course, take longer time to fill in the fields, and it might intimidate the people to leave. So maybe think about what is the absolute necessary information you must have to do after sales and communicate after the fact. So you can learn about the customer later on, but maybe like their name, email address, of course, but then company title, that sort of stuff, phone number. And then, of course, one thing we like to remind every time is to ask marketing permission. If they are interested in your event, they are very likely to click on, okay, please send me periodical newsletters about your business, your services, your offers. And that way you get more people in your automation pool and into your segments. And of course, we provide payments if you want to organize paid trainings, courses, and then waiting lists and RSVP events. And the best part here is that you can get real-time online shared reports for your events organizers, for your boss who wants to know who has registered. They will ask every day, every hour in the upcoming days of the event, how many registrations, who have registered. Okay, click that link and hit reload every time you want to check if there are new registrations. And then we have move on after the registration, we move to the confirmation email. So the reminder email, and then it confirms that you have successfully registered. And this is something Eventilla sends automatically. Of course, it can be turned off if you want to use automations for that too, which Liana actually does. And here you can check your registration data. So was everything as I typed it in? And it also allows people to modify their registration information if you have allowed that in your settings. And in free events, even they can cancel their registration. So you will know that too. And the reminder email before the event. So you can have maybe one day before. We typically do it like a few hours or even like 15 minutes before the event for webinars. So you have the join link readily available in top of all of your emails. And these emails, they have variables from Eventilla. So we can create a reminder email template, which will have the event name and the event start date, and then the join link and everything as a variable. So the template can follow from event to event. You don't have to ever touch it. It's automated. So when you copy your webinar and create a new webinar, you don't have to change anything. All the automations, all the email templates, everything is already there. So your job is to just change the title of the event, the starting date, time, and the content of the event page. So
Markus, maybe
yeah,
this is the good time. I got a question if this solution could be used. You kind of answered it could be used for live events, but live events and multi-day conferences, because this tags along a little bit
of
to that
course.
if you're using.
Of course, hybrid events is something that we are focusing right now. And you can, as I said, you can do different registration types. So you can have one ticket to those who will participate live on the venue, and then you can have another ticket for those who will participate online in your stream. And since the streaming tools, webinar tools usually have a seat limit of the initial level is maybe 50% or 100%, you can connect only those who choose the online ticket, that they will get their registration on the webinar tool, and those who will participate live on the actual venue, they will not use any spaces from the webinar. So we have covered that. We started, of course, live event as a live event company, and now within this situation, we quickly transformed also to handle online events and integrations into webinar tools. But yes, of course, you can do both. And as an example, we have lots of training organizations who have automated the whole business. So they have created good recordings of their basic course, and then maybe their advanced course. Maybe they are doing Adobe Photoshop training or something like that. And then they are just driving people with ads from their website into the event landing page. And then when people register and pay for the course, then automations take over. So you just push people into the funnel, and then they start flowing through the tunnel within the automation. So payments are automated, The course it's an on-demand webinar. So after the registration, they will get the link where to watch the webinar. And then after the fact, they will be marketed the advanced course, of course. So it's a really nice automated business if you really work on it. But then marketing automation. So integrations are here the key. So first of all, you get the attendance information. So as I mentioned, Eventilla and your webinar solution most likely is already integrated into Eventilla. So we have GoToWebinar, we have Teams, we have Zoom, we have Webinar Jam, and we even have something called a link integration. So if you're using some other tool that we don't have integration into, we can use a special link that first, when you click it, it first goes to Eventilla, where we register that you have clicked the link, and then it follows to your webinar tool. So we can even catch those links easily. And then of course, every registration integrates into LianaAutomation. So you will have all the information about the registrant, all of the information from the form fields. And this opens up lots of possibilities for the communication. So you can send thank you messages based on those check-in information. So different emails to those who actually registered and watched your webinar or attended. We have a mobile application if you send a confirmation email with a QR code to those who are going to come to the event venue physically, you can use your iPhone, your Android phone to scan the QR code with the phone's camera, and it will automatically check in the guest and make sure that they have a valid ticket to your event. And in your thank you message, you can then include the webinar recording to those who didn't make it, and then a feedback survey to those who were on the webinar, and then of course do after sales and marketing, maybe based on the poll questions we have done on the webinar. And of course, you can share the survey results if they are of interest to the participants. But usually we create shared reports from the survey, especially for the trainers, the speakers, the keynote speakers. You can send a report on what the guests thought about the trainer. Was the quality good? Did they receive the knowledge they were looking for? How was the presence, and so on. And of course, you should always ask about the how did we organize the event? Did you like the registration? Was the venue good? Was the food good? Everybody always complains, or not everybody, but somebody always complains about the food, even though it's 3-star Michelin food. It's too little for someone. And of course, offer some in the thank you note. You can automatically get like a list of upcoming events that will always be current to that timing, and other call to actions in your thank you emails. So just to wrap up, again, the same flow here. So from invitation to landing page, registrations, confirmations, reminders, the webinar, check-in, thank you messages, surveys, and after sales and marketing. It sounds a lot of work, but when you do it the first time, create the templates and then automate things, all of this can then just one click copy. So when we organize these webinars, we just take this event, click copy, choose a new date, and the registration is open. all the automated emails, confirmation emails, reminder emails, even the new webinar is created on the background. So really, really easy then to start creating new webinars. You create 4 or 5 different type of events and then just multiply those during the year. I think the key takeaways before we move into your questions, I think the key takeaways here would be to first plan. So well planned is half done. I don't know how the saying goes in Sweden, in Swedish, but automating your communication leaves more time to concentrate on the actual event. So when you spend a little more time when you're doing the initial events template, communications template, emails, then it's really easy to start copying the events and then focusing on the content of your event. And target your messages well. So make sure that your messages are relevant to the recipient. That will be that is highly important. So then your guests will be engaged with the event. They are interested. They are ready to buy your solution. And of course, use the registration and check-in information when creating your segments. And the third is schedule all your messages. So whether they are based on the event template already set there, or if you're creating a one-off event, schedule your messages beforehand. So no last minute hurry or panic will cause mistakes. And again, you can focus on the event content. So I think those are my key takeaways, what you want to be focused on.
Great.
I think at this point
we got a question, Markus.
Yeah.
And it's we actually got 2 questions, but they're regarding integrations. And it's common to have a little bit of a fear, since most of us aren't technicians as you, about the integration. So could you tell, for a new customer or for a Liana customer, what's needed on the customer end and what's needed on your end, or what can the Liana and Eventilla technicians help with the integration?
Yeah, that is a good question. Of course, if you are planning a integration into something, a new system to us, we will help researching the service, whether it has some kind of way to get information from there and push information back. But luckily, we have integrations into the most popular systems already, and they are pretty much just click through kind of integration. So for example, if you want to start using the Zoom or GoToWebinar integration, that is just first logging into Eventilla, your event management system, and then on the settings, you just click on GoToWebinar and put your credentials in, and the connection is made automatically on the background. So that is really easy to start using. Usually takes just a few minutes. And of course, our wonderful support services can do that for you even if you like. We will then, of course, just require to use your Zoom or GoToWebinar credentials for a few minutes and then make the connection on the background. But usually it's just clickety-click, drag and drop kind of thing.
Excellent. It sounds like even I could do that. Great. Thank you so much. Kiitos paljon, as you say in Finnish. I don't have any more questions from the audience, but of course you have our information to send follow-up questions. Really appreciate you joining this webinar.
Thanks.
We'll reach out to you who are interested, or get in touch with us, eventilla.com, and LianaTechnologies.com. Since you have registered for this event, I think you have our information and some knowledge of how to get us. Any final words, Markus?
Yeah, if you are interested in looking deeper into our events management platform, please drop us a line, maybe drop a message to Jesper, and he will help you set up your events flow and automations. But from my side, thank you for spending a few minutes with us, and maybe you had some, and hopefully you had some new insights and takeaways from event communication automations.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.